Here is the full script rewritten with corrected grammar, spelling, and American English, events, tone, and length preserved. The courtroom felt smaller than it should have, compressed by the heat of betrayal and the sharp scent of expensive leather. I could feel it pressing in, suffocating almost, but I stayed still. I always stay still when I need to see everything clearly. She, my wife, rose to speak. Her posture was perfect. Poised, polished, untouchable. But I had seen behind that veneer. I had seen the phone messages, the late-night dinners that weren't for work, the way her lawyer smiled at her when I wasn't looking. My blood cooled as she opened her mouth. "Your Honor," she said, voice smooth, measured, but with that little edge meant to wound. "My husband, he's an opportunist." The words landed like steel on glass. Silence followed. Her lawyer, Glenn Slave, the man who shared more than legal counsel with her, nodded. Just a subtle tilt of his head, like he had rehearsed it, like he expected it. They didn't see the storm I was holding back. They never do. I lifted my eyes slowly to meet the judge. The room had gone still, everyone hanging in the suspension of her insult. I let the quiet stretch, long and suffocating. "Opportunist," the judge said, his eyes narrowing, voice calm but precise. "With $920,000 yearly income?" I could see the moment her world cracked. Her mouth opened, closed, words tangled like a bird in a cage. "How much?" she stammered, her jaw dropped, eyes wide, venom fading into panic. The room tilted around her. I said nothing. I didn't need to. The power of truth is louder than any retort. I remember sitting there afterward, feeling the pulse of my own control. Every humiliation she had prepared for me, every whisper she thought I'd never hear, came back to her in that instant. I didn't smile. Not yet. But I tasted it. Sweet, inevitable, earned. The betrayal had been surgical. Years of it layered beneath business dinners, boardroom applause, the comfort of appearances. She thought she could label me. She thought she could rewrite our story with a word, a gesture, a smirk. She was wrong. I let the courtroom clear. Let the echoes of shock settle. Then I began to move in silence. I withdrew from the noise, from the sympathy, from the chaos she wanted me drowned in. I studied her habits, her alliances, the people who fed her ego. I tracked every weakness, every dependency, every link she didn't know I had observed. I became invisible, meticulous, patient. Every step she took, every move she made, I considered twice, 3 times. Revenge doesn't need haste. It needs precision. And I had the kind of precision that cuts clean and leaves scars that are permanent. The first step was subtle. I tightened the financial grip she assumed she controlled. Shared accounts were separated. Investments she thought she could touch were shielded. Every line of credit, every asset, every professional connection carefully fenced. She noticed it slowly. Small annoyances at first, subtle inconveniences. A meeting cancelled at the last minute. A call that never came through. Questions answered with silence. Then I began the isolation. Her lawyer, her confidant, her accomplice. He started to waver. I let him think it was luck, coincidence, bad timing. But I had nudged the perception. Contracts shifted. Permissions were revoked. Access denied. He looked for the leverage she thought he had and found none. Panic began to edge into his calm demeanor. She didn't see it coming. I let the storm gather quietly, letting her sense of control slip piece by piece. She was brilliant at pretense but weak under scrutiny, and I knew exactly how to direct it. Next came the social unraveling. People she counted on for validation started to doubt her. Rumors carefully vetted and verified before release. I never lied. I simply revealed, a meeting taken out of context, an expense report disclosed, a whisper that became a question that became public concern. The shift was invisible at first, then palpable. Her smile faltered at dinners. Her speeches sounded hollow. Her once commanding presence was now a tremor, and she didn't know why. Not yet. I stayed calm, always one step ahead. There's no satisfaction in chaos. You only feel it when the collapse is structured, inevitable, undeniable. The final move was surgical and public. Timing mattered. Patience mattered. We were scheduled to appear for a hearing, a public one, a stage perfectly suited for truth. She had prepared herself, rehearsed the lines she would feed the judge. The smirk, the calculated disdain. She wanted me diminished, labeled. I let her. I let her take the stage, and then I gave her the truth precisely when she could not recover. Opportunist, she spat, her voice aimed to wound. I let it land. Silence. Tension. The judge's gaze was steady, measuring. I could feel every person in the room lean forward, unconsciously holding their breath. $920,000 yearly income. The judge said it, and her face registered shock, confusion, desperation. She had assumed the number was irrelevant. She had assumed her insult would land. How much, she stammered. And then the room tilted entirely. I said nothing. I didn't need to. My presence, my calm, my truth spoke for me. Her jaw dropped, eyes darting, hands trembling. For the first time, she looked small. I could see the calculations running in her mind. How had I pulled this off? How had I anticipated the numbers, the timing, the impact? The answer was simple. I had never underestimated her. I had never ignored the betrayal. I had prepared, and she had misjudged my patience, my intelligence, my resolve. She tried to regain composure afterward, but the moment had passed. I noticed the tremor in her hand as she signed documents. I noticed her lawyer's stiff posture as he avoided my gaze. They had learned too late that I was never the opportunist. I was the executor. I walked out of that courtroom without a word. My control didn't need an announcement. My victory didn't require noise. I could feel her panic radiating across the street, even behind closed doors. The respect she had denied me in whispers and gestures was restored in silence, loudly, without ceremony. The weight of her betrayal had been heavy. Years of deception, underestimation, and condescension. But the payback, masterful, precise, inevitable, was heavier. She would remember it for the rest of her life. I didn't gloat. That would have been chaos. My satisfaction came in the stillness afterward, in knowing that every move she had made against me had been mirrored, measured, and neutralized. Every whisper, every secret, every calculated smile at my expense returned to her tenfold, without me lifting a finger in anger. The final lesson she learned, the one that left a mark she could not erase, was simple. Respect is not demanded. It is earned. And betrayal has a cost far higher than she had imagined. I had reclaimed my power, not through chaos, not through shouting, not through destruction, but through precision, patience, and the quiet execution of what justice should always feel like, inevitable, unavoidable, and final. I left the building. The sun hit the pavement just right. A kind of justice in light and shadow. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. She would feel the weight, the law, the truth, and my calculated silence ensured it. And in that moment, I felt the rarest satisfaction, the calm, cold victory of a storm anticipated, planned for, and executed without error. She had labeled me. The world had listened. And now she would learn exactly who she had underestimated. Opportunist? No. Executor.